It's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to ZFG Radio. I'm your host, Connor. I am here for the first time ever with one of my dearest friends, a great guy that I met through Ozark Mountain Wrestling and through Ivan Warsaw, pro wrestling's best kept secret. He's been all over the world. He's been in Arkansas, Missouri, Texas, taking it over. Pro wrestling's best kept secret, ladies and gentlemen, the Midnight Special. Midnight, how are you, brother?
Man, I'm doing all right. Got bad news about Amanda Penny this weekend, but I'm dealing with it.
Now, so let's talk about how we met, so we can segue into that. So I met you backstage of Ozark Mountain Wrestling's first show back, Battle at the Embassy. I met you through Ivan Warsaw, Kevin, our friend. Yep. And I marked out a little bit meeting you because I was a huge fan, seeing all your stuff up until then. And met you through Kevin. You were a great guy, shirt off your back kind of guy, just like Kevin. And Kevin, obviously, we lost him in July of this past year. And you two were better than brothers. You know, some people would say, he was my best friend, but you were more than that. You were literally his brother. And I just want to start out by saying we miss him. We love him. Take a few minutes and talk about the relationship of you and Kevin.
Man, I met Kevin this fall, would have been 18 years ago, in a little warehouse in West Memphis, Arkansas, for this little company at the time called New Experience Wrestling. It was run by our trainer, Nightmare Ken Wayne. By the time I had come along, Kevin was already a graduate, so he did about 99% of the hands-on training with me. It was man, he was such a great guy. He loved it. He loved to have me at the butt of his jokes, but always had my back. Never let anybody mess with me. Anywhere he went, when he got to TCW in Fort Smith, he pulled me right along with him. Everybody likes to say he did that for SWE, but I got there first.
So I actually remember the first time that I met Kevin. Speaking of SWE, it was a couple years ago, man. I was flowing through Facebook, and my nephew was wanting to go see a wrestling show, and I had remembered that Ozark Mountain Wrestling was a thing in NWA years ago. So I had messaged the Facebook page. I said, "Hey, when is your guys' next show?" Well, AJ, a family friend of mine, who's also dear friends with Kevin, worked with Kevin, messaged me and said, "Hey, come to the gym." I think it was like 2 days later, and I was like, "Oh, I'll be there." Well, I go to the gym, and when I get there, it's just me and AJ, and he goes, "Get in the ring." I'd never taken a bump, never been in a wrestling ring, did not belong in a wrestling ring, green as grass. Then I'm bouncing around for like 15 minutes, and I see this larger-than-life, one of the biggest whites I've ever seen, Kevin, walk through the door, and just a monster among men. He a big jack dude. When you first look at him, I love him to death. I can say this. He looks like an asshole just walking in because he's got that stone-cold walk to him. And he walks in, he introduces himself. Yeah, he introduces himself to me. And he's all like, and we're talking about wrestling, and he had asked me, he goes, like, do you love this? And I said, more than anything in the world, it saved my life. And that day, he gives me my first bump, and we start talking about training and everything like that. And literally, like, for the first few months of just me and Kevin, he didn't even make me pay him for the first few months. He just wanted somebody that loved the business to be in the business. And that just kind of goes to show what kind of a guy Kevin was. And people can be like, oh, he was probably just, a small-time wrestler. No, Kevin was in NXT, signed by WWE. He was a big deal. And Kevin is one of the best pro wrestlers I've ever seen. Of course, we're not going to say that Midnight's not on that list, but you know. But
I think
getting
I beat him and sent him packing to NXT.
his last match in the Indies was against you. Let's talk about that actually before he goes to NXT. Let's talk about the big send off for Ivan Warsaw.
Oh, man, it was great, man. I remember getting the news about a week ahead of time, and Matt Rivera called me and told me I'd be working Kevin. So of course we were living together at the time, if I believe correctly. Yeah, we're still living in Faxon House in Memphis together. And I just came to him and like, so what do you want to do, big man? Catch me with choke slam, And he's like, no, man, I'm putting you over. And I was like, what? It's pretty cool, man. We're perfectionists, so we weren't happy with the match. We were green. We didn't know any better. It was an okay match, but could have been better. And then he worked me again his first match after he left WWE. So yeah, and I mean again to show he put me over on his way out, and then when he came in, he went over on that one. I was the heel in that territory, and I was like the top heel. So I remember he beat me and he got the mic. No, none of this was planned. I'm about to get WWE Unreal on you. None of this was planned. He he started cutting a promo about how our story together and everything, and he's like, I don't know what Mo's attitude problem is, but he's like a brother to me, so bring it in. So we hug, and he's like, kick me in the dick. So I kicked him, and he's laying there wallowing. My girlfriend at the time was my valet, and he's wallowing on the mat, and he looks up at her. He's like, "Spit on me, spit on me." And she just looks at me, and I'm like, "You heard him." She just hocked a big old loogie and spit on him. Got the
So
heat back.
so running back that first show. So by the time the first show had happened, I had been training for a while. I'd ended up moving to Joplin to work at a casino, and Kevin had called me a couple weeks before the show, and the fact that he calls a guy that has never worked a show. I've never done anything with his show, but because I was one of his friends who'd been at the gym training with him, he called me. He goes, "Hey, I know your situation. We're doing this show, so why don't you come down, be a part of the show, and I'll pay for your gas." Gave me $30. I went down there, and from that point forward, up until like maybe one show I had missed, I had worked every show for Kevin. Without being asked, I was there every show. But I remember that first show, meeting you, and he had looked at me when we were on our way for him to introduce me to you, and he looks at me and he said, "Keep that Mark shit in your back pocket real fast," and because he knew how big of a fan I was for you, and he's like, "I'm gonna introduce you to him, but do not mark out. Keep that shit in your back pocket." And dude, I remember
We gotta
meeting
finish
you.
hanging out
I remember meeting you, and it was literally a highlight. I was a kid for 5 fucking minutes getting to meet you, man. Because again, it was one of those moments to where you and guys like you, Kevin, Rodney, Cole, all of them didn't have to be as nice and as welcoming and, as just genuine as you guys were to guys like me, guys like Logan, guys like Eddie, you know, bringing us into your world
It's
and
all,
just letting us be a part.
man, I appreciate that. It's all about remember where you come from. I remember when I was growing up, my dad, as much as he could, he'd take me to the Mid South Coliseum to see Memphis wrestling, and that's what it was all about. Just getting to talk to those guys. I met some assholes. And it affects you. It's kind of lame to say, but it bothers you. Like my dad's favorite wrestler of all time was Wildfire Tommy Rich, and he got to meet Tommy, and Tommy kind of, I don't know, I'm in the business now, so you don't know what that man had going on during the day, so I'm not going to talk bad about him. But he just kind of gave my dad the cold shoulder, and it really like shattered him. Like, and I never forgot that. And Kevin too. And it's if it wasn't for the fans, there we'd be doing. Remember the pandemic era. Wrestling don't really work without the people.
So you and Kevin, closer than brothers, getting to see you guys be around each other, in the moments that I got to see the first show for Ozark Mountain Wrestling back from their hiatus. And I remember how excited Kevin was that day because we got there. I think we got there 9:30 in the morning. The show didn't start till 7. And I remember this is a weird thing that I'm gonna keep to my heart. I'm the guy that created the stage setup. How he liked the stage to be for all the shows they've done after that. That was my idea, and I'll take it. But
there you go.
I remember how excited he was. I remember how excited he was and being able to see you guys together, and how much he leaned on you. And that's maybe many people don't know this, but he leaned on you for a lot of the decisions in Ozark Mountain Wrestling, because I had remembered you were not there for a show. I think you had missed 1 or 2 shows, but there was a tag match that was going to happen. Somebody either didn't show up or you. I think it was actually you that was late or wasn't coming or something like that. Something had happened, and he had called you and goes, "What?" And he was like, "What do I do, bro?" And you walked him through it. You two together walked each other through it, and being able to see that was just so cool because as a guy, I lost my best friend early in life, and that was always our dream. So being able to see what could have been my dream being lived out through you two was very cool to me, very special to me, and a weird thing to keep to my heart. But being able to see moments like that, I know that, with Kevin being gone, it makes stuff like that hurt worse, but it was such a special and cool thing to see. And it was so just awesome.
We had such a trust in each other, and he knew, I've had, my share of bad reputations in the business, being cocky, big headed, a lot of people. I got a lot of friends in the business. I got a lot of people that don't like me in the business. But he always, man, that's what I miss about him. He gave me so much confidence in the run we had with Ozark Mountain Wrestling, because he was the one guy that finally was like, man, this guy has a mind for the business, and I'm gonna take advantage of it, and I'm gonna utilize it. And he would, man. Every show we started. That was the first show you went to, first one at the embassy, but we were already running for about a year before that. And a very rare, like, that shows you how much hard work he put into it too. Is like he never ran in the red. Every show was a profit, which is rare for an unknown indie. And yeah, every show we were on. If I wasn't there, because I was only in town, I only lived in Arkansas for like the first one. And then I moved to San Antonio, Texas to be part of the Dog Pound and Dog Pound Championship Wrestling. So our communication was on the phone. We were on the phone several times a week, multiple days, if not every day of the week, discussing booking, creative. Like, yeah, man, it was, and it really helped me down in Dog Pound be able to take lead and be a leader, because he showed me that I could. Right.
Speaking of Dog Pound, that brings me to another guy that I got to meet, being a part of Ozark Mountain Wrestling. Another childhood hero of mine, a guy who got to wrestle my absolute icon, Rodney Mack. I got to meet Rodney Mack through Ozark Mountain Wrestling. For those of you who don't know, Rodney Mack got to wrestle Goldberg a handful of times in WWE, and had one of the funniest, coolest storylines, in my opinion, that just never seen the fruition. But Rodney Mack is a person, man, and this is a guy that has been in the business a long time. So the first meeting, so I get sent outside to go ask Rodney a question. And for those of you
By who?
by you asshole, you sent me out there because you knew that I was a fan of Goldberg, and you literally said, you're like, hey, go ask Rodney about Goldberg. So I go outside, Rodney's smoking a cigarette. I go outside to smoke a cigarette with him, and I go, Rodney, and he goes, what up, man? And I'm like, what about Goldberg? And at this moment, he should have just beat the shit out of me. He should have just walked up, beat the absolute shit out of me. But man, he sat there for what felt like forever, talking to me and like letting me pick his brain and walking me through the whole thing with Goldberg, with working back there back then, with how people were. He got to actually debunk a lot of rumors for me too about like how shit actually was in the back. Triple H really wasn't an asshole back then and stuff like that. And being able to work again with Goldberg and stuff like that. And Rodney just, as a guy where if you just look at him, very intimidating presence, does not look like a guy you just want to walk up to and be like, hey, what up, man? No. But shirt off your back guy. Shirt off your back guy. And literally having the privilege of meeting him, I love him to death. He's a great guy. But you have a lot of history with Rodney Mack and the Dog Pound.
Yes, I do. My dad passed away January 31st of 2020, which just passed 6 years, and I got really depressed, and somehow my way of venting depression was drinking a lot of whiskey and eating a lot of pizza. And I gained a lot of weight, and I was done with wrestling. Honestly, I wasn't going to do it anymore, and I started working out with Kevin again. I moved in with Kevin, moved me into his spare bedroom. I was living with Kevin, and there was this seminar that my tag team partner, Smoking Eric Bronson, was going to, called SWE Fury down in Texas. And Kevin, he for like 3 weeks, I wasn't gonna go, and he just harped on it for 3 weeks. Just go and have fun, just go and have fun. So eventually, I gave in. I went down there, and I was standing next to Eric, and I was like, you know what? I am gonna have fun. I'm just gonna be Brian Christopher. I'm gonna do all the spots and everything. I'm just gonna be Brian. And Eric's like, go for it, bro. So I got in there and I'm like jumping around, doing the spots. I'm hitting everything. But then I like hit a body slam. I'm like, that's why I'm from Midfield, Tennessee, baby. Yeah. Like, so I go and sit down in the crowd with there's like about 100 of us at this seminar. It was a really packed seminar. And Rodney and Mark Henry sitting next to each other. And Rodney just points up to the bleachers where we're all sitting. He's like, hey, you, come here. And I'm like, yeah, you little white boy, come here. I'm like, oh shit, little. Guess he's talking to me. And yeah, introduced me to Teddy Long, which led to me working the Boogeyman. And that's how we got into SWE. And by the time SWE folded, I got a message on Facebook from Rodney offering me to move into his backyard guest house and be a part of the Dog Pound Dojo. So for about 3 years, I got to sit under the learning tree of Rodney Mack and Jazz every single night after practices, after shows, going to the gym multiple times a day. It was awesome. Like, I didn't get off as easy as you on the Goldberg stuff though. He would always let me pick the matches, and one morning he's like sitting there, he's sipping on his coffee, he's rolling up a blunt, and I put on the Goldberg match. He didn't say nothing. He lights it. We're passing it back and forth. The match ends, and he just goes, let me ask you something, though. What the fuck did you get out of that, boy? And he just like, you fucking mark. Like, yeah, he ringed me out really good that day. But I love him, man. I call him my wrestling daddy. And it's so awesome that they're in Florida now with Jazz being a part of the WWE Performance Center.
I was just about to say, shout out. Yeah, shout out to her. She just became a trainer over at the Performance Center, and that's a big thing. Jazz, literally, very underrated in my opinion. had some of the
Yeah.
I think some of the best women's wrestling matches in early, way before the Divas Revolution, way before any of that. Wrestling women like Trish and Lita, Victoria, stuff like that, having great matches, and even her early days in ECW, man. Like I remember I was going to Blockbuster and to Rocco's Video in Kansas City and tape trading with kids, watching old ECW stuff and like catching Jazz in old ECW, and then seeing her, because at this point it's 2003, 2004. She's also there in WWE, and seeing her, I remember looking at my dad. I'm like, that's the chick from ECW. And my dad had a huge crush on Jazz for a long time. He would tell my mom all the time that he would tell her, he'd be like, that's my future ex-wife right there. And didn't happen. My dad left when I was young, but did not happen. But he was a huge Jazz fan, so shout out to her.
Oh yeah, Jazz is amazing. The women in NXT just gained a hell of a teacher. I think you're gonna see a huge change in, especially when it comes to physicality over high spots with Jazz there. It's a huge gain for the WWE. Huge
T-
gain.
talking
And
about,
hopefully leads to a Hall of Fame. And
I hope so. That's what I'm saying. Jazz, if any woman that has not been inducted yet, if the Bellas are in, no disrespect to the Bellas, but if the Bellas are in, Jazz should be first ballot. Not even a conversation. Should be, oh, Jazz, okay, yeah, you're in. Like, that shouldn't even be an argument. But speaking about huge gain,
unfortunately, Jazz. The only reason Jazz ain't in it now is she was a part of that multiple wrestler lawsuit against the WWE years back, and that hindered communications. But she absolutely deserves it, and I have no doubt. I wouldn't be surprised if she goes in this year.
I hope so. I literally, like, I would love that. Jazz is one of the most iconic, like, honestly, like, one of the most iconic women wrestlers for changing the game, because, like, not very many
I
women
think it's a
like her.
good. I think it's a good year to do it with Stephanie headlining. You could do a girl power theme, and there's a lot of women that still belong in it. Luna Vachon's not in the Hall of Fame. Miss Elizabeth. Like, there's a lot of women not in the Hall of Fame that should be. So who knows?
Speaking of huge gain, I just want to talk about the night you made my nephew a fan of you. Real fast. The first show for Ozark Mountain Wrestling back, and my very first show there, Battle at the Embassy, the night Sebastian debuts. I believe it's the Embassy show. You were supposed to fight Enzo Amore at that show, and Enzo had actually skipped out. As I remember somebody quoting, had a bellyache. If I remember somebody quoting that correctly. You were supposed to fight. You were supposed to fight Enzo, and if you ask Kevin, he was going to roast your ass that night. But I think you would have been just fine. I think you would have been just fine. But you were supposed to fight Enzo. Enzo doesn't show up. He calls in sick. So we get you and Sebastian. And man, the way, as a wrestling fan, being able to sit, literally, I'm better than front row. I'm timekeeping. Being able to watch that match, the promo before the match, afterwards, the whole thing, how you captivate an audience. Man, to quote Dusty Rhodes, you got it, brother. You can't get rid of it if you tried. You got it. So I just want to say, like, that night you made
Yeah,
my nephew a fan, and magic.
yeah, I didn't have a lot to work with, but I did what I could. No, we may not be cool now, but the kid did a good job. Kevin trained him very well. It's a little disappointing not to get in the wrestling. Not so much not getting the wrestling, though. I was really itching to test my merit against such a unbelievable performer on the microphone. It would have been. I would have definitely had to bring my A game consensually.
So I got told by Kevin to put my mark in the back pocket. Let's talk about your mark in the back pocket story with Kevin the first time you meet Enzo. Let's talk about that because I remember you telling me this story, and it's a really cool story. So if you could share it for us.
Man, I'll even expand on it. That was a interesting evening. We pick Enzo up at the airport, and before he gets in the car, Kevin's like, "For the love of God," he's like, "Just don't quote him. Don't do don't do how you doing. Don't do none of that shit. Just be cool. We're all wrestlers, booked on the same show tomorrow night." so so Enzo gets to the car and I'm quiet in the back because I don't trust myself. So we get to the hotel. We're drinking a little bit, and I left the guard down. And Enzo had brought this notebook out that he wrote down. He said he wrote down every promo he ever did from the minute he got in NXT. So I got a little liquid courage, and I was like, "Oh yeah." I was like, "How about AJ Styles? You got a haircut like a soccer mom. How you doing?" And he just flips through the page. Yep, right here. And so this led on to me just going on and on and on and on. Fall back like your hairline. Like that. And he just looks at Kevin. He's like, "Your boy needs a hobby." And so that was that. If that wasn't bad enough, then we're like, we go down out of the hotel to smoke a little bit, and somehow we get on. We were roasting Kevin because Melina had a crush on Kevin and was scared to go up and talk to him. So we're roasting Kevin about that, and I was like, "Man, I don't know. If I was you, I'd jump on it." I was like, "That's Melina." I was like, "Because if my WWE crush was standing right here, I'd be all over it." And Enzo's like, "Who's your crush?" And I was like, "Man, I'd smash Liv Morgan so hard." And he just goes, "Yeah, that's my ex-girlfriend." And I'm like,
How you
shit.
doing?
How you doing? Yeah, it was good shit, man.
Now,
Good shit.
I remember uh, just being around Kevin in moments like that. It was so surreal. And before we get to the deep and darkness of this, just another cool little memory. Like I remember after the first show back, Kevin. So we have the show. Everything goes awesome, goes great. I thought so. I thought the first show was an absolute hit. After the show, we're tearing down the ring and everything. We're talking to the boys, and he pulls me to the side. It's me. It's my buddy Justin. My mom's there. Kevin, you're standing off to the side, and he literally was just like, he asking me how I liked the show, what I would have done better, like what I think they could have done better and everything like that. And I looked at him. I said, "What? Why do I matter? Like, what does anything I have to say here matter to you?" And he goes, "Because you matter to this. You're part of the ring crew. You're timekeeping. You're a part of the show. Like everybody here matters. And for guys like you and him and Rodney and Moonshine that could have big leagued all of us, Damian Wayne that could have big leagued all of us, you guys didn't. And you guys always cared and always brought in the small guys, and always cared about what we all did.
Yeah, that's what the current regime does. That's what the current regime does. We don't do that shit.
Listen, you guys cared so much, and I appreciate that about all of you. But we'll go ahead and we'll segue into this. Kevin, I remember the day I got the phone call. I was sitting here at work. I was sitting on a golf cart getting ready to go to work. AJ had called me, and it told me that Kevin was gone. And I didn't pry into his personal life. I was not, a best friend of Kevin. I was just a friend of Kevin. So I didn't pry into his personal life. I didn't know, I didn't kiss his ass or anything like that. It was, when we talked, it was wrestling. It was, he would ask me about my personal life, stuff like that, but I never pried into his. So I didn't know what was going on other than what he would tell us. So when AJ had said he was gone, I was like, "What do you mean he's gone? I know he's on the boat. Like, he left today. I'm sorry for you." And he's like, "No, he's gone." And he told me what happened. And at that moment, all we knew was that Kevin was shot and killed, and we didn't know the whole story. I remember how I felt, but if you could, I know it's hard. You don't have to share if you don't want to, but if you could walk us through when you found out about Kevin.
Man, it was. Whew, yeah, that was a tough day. I had just moved into a new house. I was working at a casino as well. We're at Caesar's Casino up in Danville, Virginia, and I just got me a house. And you know, everybody was blowing my phone up that morning, like trying to message me, trying to call me, and I was busy doing stuff. And I was out with my aunt doing something, and I remember it felt I had this weird feeling, like that how sometimes they say, well, like when siblings die or your parents die, that you kind of just know. Is like I don't want to say I knew, but I remember telling my aunt, I was like, what if the helicopter they took to the oil rig, what if that crashed? Like, what if he fell over the rig and drowned? Like, so, and she was like, "Oh, you're in your head. He's fine. He'll call you when he gets a chance." Da 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 da. And I get back to the house and I finally decide, fuck it. I'll call Sebastian and see why he's tried to call me 15 times. And he told me, and yeah, yeah, not a good day. Not a good day at all. Cried a lot. Cried a lot. Um, And man, it really, they say it gets better with time, but it really hasn't. It really hasn't. Especially with, her getting the murder charge dropped, and I know she's still looking at gun charge, and that carries a heavy bit of jail time, prison time, but it's, man, should be looking at life for the chair. She absolutely was the cause of this. Like, it sucks. I lost my best friend. I lost my mentor, my brother, my protector. Like, he was Superman to me. Like, and it sucks not having him here. Like,
So for those that are new to the story or have been sleeping under a rock for the last year, Kevin uh, Kevin Nickel, aka Ivan Warsaw, was shot by the story says it was by Amanda's boyfriend at the time. Uh, I assume they're no longer together. I assume that prisoners aren't allowed to be together. Was shot by him
he's still
over.
locked up.
Yeah, I
He's got the
assume.
murder charge still on him. And
Yeah,
it's been proven he pulled the trigger, and apparently, from what I've gathered, he even told the officer that found him bleeding out on the side of the road that he had shot him. But Amanda absolutely, he wouldn't have shot him if it wasn't for Amanda. Amanda absolutely orchestrated it. She masterminded it. She lured him out there. And it's a travesty and a failure of the Benton County justice system that she's out and about right now.
honestly, no, I completely agree. The it's tragic that now because of a dumb, stupid thing that had to happen to such a wonderful person. And we're not just saying that because we were his friends or in your case his brother, but like literally everybody. You can ask anybody that ever met Kevin. If you met Kevin, you knew he was one of the best people you'd ever meet. And now, even worse than that, there's an innocent little boy, Zach, without a father, now without a mother, parentless, now in custody with, in his grandma has custody of him, if I remember correctly. It's his grandmother and his uncle, if I'm
Yeah,
not mistaken.
grandmother, brother. Yeah, yeah, they're taking good care of him. He's in good hands. And I'm from what I've been told, like even though she's out of jail, she is not allowed to see him.
Yeah, there was a
So
no
that's good.
contact order. Yeah, a no contact order. Um, and it
And that's
was
and that's what's really helped me at the toughest spots is just the outpouring of affection that not just the wrestling community, but the Rogers, Arkansas, Northwest Arkansas community as a whole has had such great stories to tell about Kevin. Kevin, he coached a little league, I believe it was football or softball or something. He was very hands on with Zach and his wrestling team. He had a kids class at the Ozark Mountain Wrestling Academy that got pretty sizable at one point. Just yeah, not just in the ring, outside of it too. He was just a great guy to so many people. I'm not the only person that calls him my best friend. He had that effect on so many people, and it's good to hear. Like
I remember, you know, I unfortunately, after Kevin had passed away, he had passed away 2 days before a show that we were gonna do. It was gonna be our first outside show that we had done since the return of Ozark Mountain Wrestling with Battle at the Embassy a few years prior. We were gonna do our first outside show, and I believe it was that outside show we were doing that, or it was an inside. I think it was the outside show though. He had passed away.
isn't it?
It's okay. It was an inside showcase, so they had done the outside show. Um, he had passed away. I was not able to go to a funeral because I had a medical emergency. I was bedridden, but I remember watching that funeral. It was live streamed. Um, and I know that in the times we've talked about it, because we've talked a lot since Kevin has passed. I really tried to stay in touch with you. You've gone on record saying when you had spoke at the funeral, in your opinion, that wasn't where you wanted to do it. That wasn't where you wanted to say goodbye. But
And if you watch it back, I screwed it up because I mean he can't tell road stories and say goodbye to him the way I want it to in a church. You can't go if it ain't hell, I ain't happy like all this stuff, and I was choked up. No, I wanted to say goodbye to him in the ring, and I earned that right. I deserved that right, and it was denied me by the current regime of Johnny Come Lately jackasses that are just doing a horrible job carrying on his legacy. I'll just be blunt about it. They're doing a lot of stuff that he would not be happy with, and that would probably be the biggest one because I was there. I was backstage, and they wouldn't let me do anything. They wouldn't let me talk on the mic. They wouldn't give me 2 minutes on the mic. Tried to tell me they didn't have time, like I was green to the business, and it was a TV taping. Like just a bunch of greenhorn, no nothings, making it about themselves. And if that helps them sleep at night, more power to them.
and
But
as a guy, laying in his bed watching the funeral, you may have not have liked, what you had to do there, or how you think you performed. I remember watching. You were the only you. I watched like two others, but you, in my opinion, had a very powerful eulogy. Because knowing you for the short period of time I've got to know you, but I know how close you and Kevin were. You could feel every word you were saying through the camera, through the microphone. You could feel it because yes, you were choked up and you could tell. But man, as a guy, I lost my brother a few years ago, so having to relive that pain through what you had said, it really hit home with me, and it was very powerful. So I think Kevin would have been proud, and I wasn't there at the show. Again, I was bedridden, so I didn't get to see or experience what happened at the show, and I hate that you were denied even an ability to say goodbye, especially for a guy who, for those that didn't know, I was backstage at every show leading up to. I'd only missed like one show before that, and every show, every training session, every show, every time I'd seen Kevin, he talked about you, talked about you or brought up a story about you. So you were very important to him, to the Ivan Warsaw character, to Ozark Mountain Wrestling. Like, I remember
We started together.
there were several storylines that he was building, and most of them involved you in one way or another. And one story actually, I remember Kevin gave me my first concussion in the pro wrestling world, and while being concussed, I'm sitting there on the apron with a throbbing headache, puking my guts up, but he's telling me about a storyline he has involving the Dog Pound Dojo and the Ozark Mountain Wrestling Dojo, and how everything was supposed to lead up to like this big event. I don't remember exactly how the story ended because, again, I was concussed. My fault. I was stupid during training. Did not listen to Kevin and paid the price. But, you know, if I wish I would have been there, you know, granted, green is grass, I would have fucking fought for it. I'd have been like, hey, I would give him 2 minutes because I didn't see the show. I didn't go to the show. A buddy of mine was there, and he'd even told me, he goes, I don't know why they did it. I don't know why they did the show. I wouldn't have done the show.
I understand. I mean, I'm not gonna downplay, you know, all those guys. I don't like how they did me, but they all contributed in their way and helped Kevin out a lot. Sebastian was a hell of a student. He listened to Kevin. He worked really hard, um, and he's got a bright future if he can get his ego in check and get out of his own way. But they're just they're all very selfish, and they wanted to make sure they got to say something, or they got to, like, when you know, I'm a guy, as long as I knew Kevin, the talks did happen. I had framed it as if something happened on the oil rig because it's a dangerous job. But I was like, man, if something happens to you, what do you want, wrestling wise? And he's like, I don't give a shit about that stuff. But if you want to do something, I think it'd be cool if you and Zach put my boots in the middle of the ring and we had a 10-bell salute. And they wouldn't even let me do that. Like, Sebastian, very selfishly, I remember when they got ready to do the 10-bell salute, I had walked over and was going to grab his boots because that was my spot. And Sebastian ran, he grabbed him, he tucked him in his chest, and he ran out the curtain. And I understand he was hurting too, so I'm not just going to completely shit on those guys. But I understand they were grieving too, but they turned that grief into a whole lot of selfishness, and they yeah, it's because of that. I mean, I don't watch the product anymore. I unfollowed them. I don't have anything to do with that organization anymore. As far as I'm concerned, it died when he died. But if that's how they, can grieve and go through the healing process, more power to them. But I look at what they're doing, and uh, uh, more than half of what they're doing, Kevin would not agree with and would not be happy about. Which is why I joined the mutiny.
But before we get there, I will say, I'm not going to go into why I have nothing nice to say. I will say that the people I got to know while Kevin was here, great people. I thought were friends. I remember kicking it with Sebastian and Logan before the shows. I talked to Sebastian every time before a show for hours. Just picking his brain about what he wants to do in his pro wrestling career and everything like that. Logan too. I told Logan multiple times, hey, you have ability. Do this. Like, do something with this. Stuff like that. I'm not gonna say the guy I don't like because I don't want to slander his name and you start a bunch of shit. But there's a guy there I don't care for at all. And I know him personally, actually. So like, I don't like him. He's got a lot of money, and I don't like him. I don't like him. One guy I do love. There is one guy that I do love there. Michael St. James, you know what, buddy? My hat's off to you, man. Nothing but respect. I love you. Thank you so much for sitting there next to me all those times. I appreciate everything you had let me talk to you about the whole time. I miss you, brother. Hopefully, we get to work together again. But with that bullshit out the way,
I'll, I'll second that. Michael is one of the few people that still reach out and check on me. He never he's not a part of that stuff. He shows up and does what he's told. He wasn't a part of that. It was just two, maybe three very selfish people who wanted to make it about them. And more power to you. I know what I was to Kevin. Everybody to Kevin that knew Kevin knew what we were to each other, so they can stay in their little land of make believe all they want. Right. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. They actually got a show next Saturday at the Northwest Arkansas Mall. Get there early, do some shopping, some maybe late Valentine shopping if you forgot about your lady. But then at 6 o'clock, get over to Empire Cheer Elite. Doors open at 6 o'clock. Bell times at 7. Tickets start as low as $10. You might want to act fast though. Last I heard, front row's almost sold out. And man, yeah, it's a young, hungry company. It's run by another good friend of mine and tag team partner Eric Bronson, who wrestles as Smoking Eric Bronson, which I gave him that name. We were part of the highest quality tag team in professional wrestling, the Midnight Blazers, and when I get ready to get back in the ring, I will definitely be stepping foot in the Mutiny Wrestling Federation ring. So Malico, the current Mutiny Wrestling Federation champion, just know this, clown boy. When I want that title, I'll take it.
speaking of the best kept secret in pro wrestling, wanting to become a world champion again, I want to see that match if it ever happens. Uh, Mutiny Wrestling Federation. I'm looking forward to that show. I'm supposed to be meeting up with them here soon to pass out flyers actually for that show. So get at your boy. I'm gonna pass out some flyers. Spread the word about the mutiny. Well, we had talked about something after Kevin had passed. Something that you were very into, very controlled. You were in control of trying to build a memorial cup. So the last time we had spoke, you were designing the Ivan Warsaw Memorial Cup. Do we have any Memorial Cup news?
No good news. Unfortunately, that group of selfish people got into Kevin's mom's ear, and I received a random message one night asking me to stop using Kevin's name to promote shows and for my own selfish gain, and which is exactly what they're doing. So it's still his mom, so I will not disrespect her wishes. So as of right now, there will be no Ivan Warsaw Memorial Cup. I'm sure they'll steal my idea and do a horrible job of doing it on their own. Um, but yeah, no cup, no cup. Yeah. Anyway, well, we'll see. You never say never, you know.
I hurt for that because I remember you telling me about it, and I had begged you. I said, "Man, I don't know where this happens. I don't know when this happens, but I want to call. I want to call action on this because one thing me and Kevin had talked about before his untimely passing was I he always told me he's like, man, because he a weird thing. So I do create a superstar wrestling stuff on 2K, stream it, call the matches and stuff. And he actually sat down and watched a show of mine, and he goes, "Bro, if I could have you tweak a few things, I think you could call Ozark Mountain Wrestling action. I think you would do damn good calling it." And I was like, "Kevin, give me a microphone. I will do everything you want, brother." And he always wanted me to do commentary. I always wanted to do commentary. So for us not being able to do that,
It was coming. A lot of people don't know this, and that group of guys we're talking about, they probably don't even know this. They might. Kevin was very, very close to inking a deal to get Ozark Mountain Wrestling on TV, and it was coming. It was coming. Right. But now we're gonna get Mutiny Wrestling Federation on TV.
we're going to get them sons of bitches on TV, and I swear to God, I'm going to call some midnight special action, all right? I don't care if I got to be his personal commentator at this point. No, man, I'm becoming a fan of this company, man. I've watched a few things. It actually, it reminds me a lot of SWE back in the day because that's one thing that Kevin was actually really shocked of. I was a huge fan of SWE. I really loved the stuff that Charlie Haas was doing down there. I'm a big Charlie Haas mark, actually. I love Charlie Haas. Teddy Long was doing killer things down there. Lacey, everybody. That's actually where I'd seen some of your first, like, for me, it was my first introduction to you before I found some of your older stuff. But
my feud with the Boogeyman.
Your feud with the Boogeyman, Enzo's matches with Kevin, the killer stuff. That and TSW. I know TSW still continues to book mullet wearing assholes and stuff like that, but TSW actually also has some of the best professional wrestlers I've ever seen as well. I'm a big fan of Soda Pop, stuff like that. Those people are incredible down there. The people that have worked with Kevin, with Ozark Mountain Wrestling, before Kevin's death, incredible wrestlers all around.
TSW will always have a place in my heart because Randy finally pulled the trigger and put me and Kevin together as a team. And although my own personal bad choices and habits ruined it before it could really get off the ground, like it was so much fun getting a tag with him and do promos with him and skits and beat up Bam Bam Malone a lot. Like it was a lot of fun. But speaking of fun, how about this? I bet you I'll turn the tables a little bit and podcast you. Give me 5 dream matches for Warsaw and 5 dream matches for against me.
So 5 for Warsaw. One that me and Warsaw actually talked about, Josh Alexander, because he always wanted to do that illegitimate brother storyline in TNA with him. I think that match would have tore the house down. Warsaw and Benoit. I think that would have been killer.
Stole my match.
Yeah, I did. Warsaw and Stone Cold, just because 2 bald guys with goatees tearing it up, I think would have tore the house down. I think Warsaw and Undertaker, now that I'm thinking about it, if you go Big Evil Taker, though, like 2003, I think that Taker and Warsaw could have really tore it down. And I didn't say this last time we spoke, but Brock at number 5. I think Brock and Warsaw could have really done some killer things.
That'd have been a full plate for Kevin. No, that's actually, we used to rib him all the time when he's down in NXT. Me and several other guys he was close with. That's what we always say to him. We'd be like, there's 2 things we'd say to him. We'd be like, one, we'd be like, you suck Triple H's dick yet? And then other I'd always be like, I love you, man. Hang in there, and we need you to beat the streak one day. Like, yeah.
I remember me and Kevin talking about his times with Brody and stuff like that. And before we get to your 5 dream matches, you said this the last time we spoke, and I'd really like to touch on it again. How apropos is it that Bray, Brody, and Kevin are all in heaven now? Because Kevin being the rumored part of the Wyatt family, they wanted him. They wanted him there, and from what you said, the politics and bullshit just didn't allow it to happen. But how crazy is that? That the Wyatt family are together at least at this time, but unfortunately in heaven.
Oh yeah.
But now the 5 dream matches for you. Now listen, you're gonna say it. I'm gonna put it on the list anyway. Anyone that knows you should just go ahead and put this match on the damn list. You and Sean would tear it up, and you know you would. You and Sean, that's an ultimate dream match. But I personally would like to see like 1993 Sean or 94, maybe even 97. Like
I want to work with 97 Sean. He's a prick.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I guess I'd rock 97 Sean with it.
The promos would have been great. Like it would have been really cool.
So you and Sean, you and MJF, you and Punk, you and there's a lot of matches I'd really like to see you do.
Baby.
Enzo, I want to see the Enzo thing. It needs to happen. It should have happened. I swear to God, I don't care if I got to make a company and book it myself. Yeah, I will get it to happen one way or another. And then really, if we talk about mic work versus mic work and then in-ring work versus in-ring work, really, man, like, we talk about Punk, but I didn't think about this till I was watching a 2008 show. You and Jeff Hardy could have made magic.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But all right, brother.
That'd be cool.
It's your turn now. I want 5 for Warsaw, 5 for you.
Warsaw. You stole Benoit from me. Like Benoit, Undertaker. Doesn't matter what era, either biker or late phenom. Warsaw and Bruiser Brody would have been really physical. Man, this is a guy Kevin really like. This is actually Kevin's favorite wrestler. Ivan Warsaw versus Razor Ramon would have been pretty dope. And just for just to I think him and Randy Orton would be really, really good.
Which Randy? Which Randy?
The Viper. The Apex Predator. But yeah, as far as I go, Shawn Michaels, Chris Jericho, Eddie Guerrero, Roddy Piper. I'd really like to work Piper. And then just to know what a big match feel would. I think it'd been cool to work Hollywood Hulk Hogan. Like, I don't know if he would have worked with me well because I'm a little guy. He probably wouldn't have.
He worked Kidman. He worked Kidman, so I think he'd have been fine with you. I don't think he would have gave you as much as he gave Kidman. I think he would have hit you with that old "it doesn't work for me, brother." But
just to be in there with Hogan and feel that atmosphere would have been awesome.
So before we get close to wrapping this up, me and Kevin had always talked. Every time we had talked to each other, I'd always asked him. I'd been like, "All right, Kevin, I'm a wrestling fan. You're a wrestling fan. What's your favorite WrestleMania match?" And I remember him making fun of me for mine because my favorite WrestleMania match, it's a tie. It's Rock and Austin from 17 and Rock and Hogan from 18 because I'm obviously also a huge Rock mark, but both just classic matches, great matches. So I know what Kevin's answer was because he told me at times it was Brett and Sean. He really liked Brock and Taker, regardless of what happened. Stuff like that. What is some of your favorite WrestleMania matches? I know we're in the season for it. We're on the road to WrestleMania in real life. So go ahead. What is the Midnight's favorite WrestleMania matches?
The number one, without no argument, like not even close, like by a mile. And it's funny because me and Kevin would argue about this one. WrestleMania 25 between Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker. It was, to me, it was just everything you would want. It was two Texas legends in Texas, Mr. WrestleMania versus the Streak. Like someone had to lose, and it's the first time personally. Except I was a little scared with Randy Orton with the Legend Killer that he might beat it, but that was the first real time I really legitimately thought the streak was in jeopardy. And Kevin, we used that was like the main thing. If you wanted to start a hour argument between me and him, who was better, the Shawn and Taker matches or the Triple H and Taker matches at WrestleMania? He said Triple H to Shawn Michaels. Not that I have anything against the trio of matches with Triple H, but there was just something. There was something so cinematic and like all encompassing of the WrestleMania 25 match. Like
The good
I
and
don't like
evil,
the 26 match for obvious reasons.
the day and night. I really liked that where Sean was like the epitome of light and Taker the epitome of darkness. But it was so much more than that too because it had nothing to do with the title. Really, it didn't really even have anything to do with the streak. It was just Sean wanting to beat Taker, like, and the classic back-to-back matches.
But other than that, that's the absolute favorite. But again, I love Hogan versus Rock. They didn't do a whole lot, but they didn't have to do a whole lot. Like if you talk about just sheer, if you're grading just on the crowd, greatest WrestleMania match of all time. Like nothing touches it. Like and it was really cool seeing the Toronto crowd cheering the heel Hogan, which my dad had thrown a WrestleMania party, had all his coworkers and stuff there. Everybody in the living room cheering for The Rock. My little rebel middle schooler ass over there with an NWO shirt cheering for Hogan. Um, Other than that, Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels was a masterpiece.
I'm
Uh,
sorry. I love you.
right, right. I mean, there's so many. Like I've been, when you've been watching as long as I have, and especially since I've been in the business and can watch it with like an educated eyeball now, there's so many matches that I probably wouldn't have put on the list as a kid, but that are great. Like Piper and Brett that was WrestleMania, right?
Yeah, that's when Piper finally gets the IC title, isn't it?
Yeah, that's when he dropped it.
Yeah. Okay, so he drops it to Brett.
That's the first time Piper had been pinned in a WWE one-on-one match. Like, yeah. Of course, Hogan and Andre, the match that started it all. Like, that really put wrestling in its boom period. That was great. And of course, not as Rumble, but Benoit had some great WrestleMania matches.
Benoit and Kurt.
Yeah,
Benoit and Kurt. I think it was WrestleMania.
that was Triple Threat 2000. It was Jericho, Kurt, and Benoit.
Yes, that one. Yes, that one. That one was killer. I remember that because Jericho was still new to WWE at the time. Kurt still relatively new. Benoit just jumped ship not too long before that. So it really was like I remember watching that match and JR had said something on commentary of now we get to see what we have in all three of these men. And really like, yeah, that match, if you didn't like technical wrestling, you did when the bell sounded. When that second bell would sound,
from a worker's perspective, now that I've been in the business and I know what kind of toll it takes on your body, WrestleMania 14 watching Shawn Michaels gut out that he needed back surgery, and watching him gut. I never knew it. You'd have never known it. I mean, you go back now and watch, and it's very apparent. But just that gutsy performance to put on that level of a performance with Austin for WrestleMania 14 in Boston was something to see. Like it was pretty good. Like
So we talk about dream matches. We talk about favorite matches. I just had this thought in my head. We have stories about people being fans of Roman Reigns, but could you imagine if we would have got Tribal Chief Roman Reigns versus Evolution Reign of Terror World Title Reign Triple H? If you could take that Triple H and that Roman Reigns, let them have a Mania build up to a WrestleMania main event. I love Rock, I love Hogan, I love Austin, but I think if you could do that, I think that would probably be an ultimate needle mover WrestleMania.
as far that'd be unbelievable. I don't know who comes out on that. Everybody wants to hate dump on Triple H these days, but during that run, if your name wasn't Shawn Michaels or Goldberg, sorry Rodney, you didn't. Nobody touched him. And as far as me, if I could fantasy book a WrestleMania match, it's a WrestleMania match that apparently we almost got, but unfortunately, he passed away before it could happen. I would have loved to see prime Eddie Guerrero versus Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania. It'd have been a master class. And apparently that was the plan for WrestleMania 22.
Yeah, because it was supposed to be Shawn and Eddie, Triple H and Cena, and then Shawn because Shawn works Vince that time, and Triple H still works Cena, but it was supposed to be Shawn and Eddie because that's when what people would say Rey Mysterio got the petty world title win, regardless of how you feel about it. In my opinion, watching that live, I was like, that's how you do it.
I'm not part of that camp. Unfortunately Eddie passed, and doors opened. I didn't have a pro. Ray would have been the world champion eventually one day anyway. That's just how good Ray is. Like, so I'm definitely not a part of that camp. Um, did I? Maybe they leaned a little bit too much into the Eddie Guerrero stuff. Maybe you could make that argument. I did it for you, Eddie. Like, but not really. Like, that's what you do. It's what you do.
So
He's not the first to dedicate his match to somebody. Um,
we talk about those matches and moments like that for WrestleMania. Let's talk about the Rumble. The Rumble has just happened. We're a few weeks removed from it. Obviously, we know that our Lord and Savior, the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns, is now the Royal Rumble winner. And your future ex-wife or future what do you call it? Your training order has won the Women's Rumble, Liv Morgan. What'd you think about the Rumble event and the matches?
I think the girls outdid the guys. I think the girls' Rumble was a lot better, even if they all look like Power Rangers. Um, the biggest thing on the Rumble is whoever came up with the idea to put LED lights on the seats, bad, because it made people legitimately think the building was empty, and it wasn't. I mean, you still got AEW marks that want to say it was, but look at their flavor of wrestling; they're not very intelligent. Um, the guys' Rumble was a real mixed bag. Like, of course, I was disappointed. No Chris Jericho. I really thought Jericho was coming back. I chuckled a little bit on the inside because I don't like AEW so much that Powerhouse Hobbs got zero reaction. Like, um, yeah, it was a mixed bag though. It was very it just felt like it was missing something. I think the whole product today feels like it's kind of missing something, and I'm not just talking about myself. Um, it just right. But not, and I'll say, like, it just feels like this is the first time ever that I can remember since the early days that there's no real plan going into WrestleMania. Like we're right here, we're a little over a month or so away, and there we got Roman and Punk. That seems to be the direction they're going. I don't know if they're going to inject Finn Balor into that or not.
Yeah, because
But it just
If you watch Raw now at the Chamber in Chicago, it'll be Punk and Balor for the world title. But we touched on this. It does seem like the direction is Punk and Roman, with maybe they inject Balor. I hope not. I hope we get Balor and Dom for the AAA Mega and the Intercontinental title. That'd be cool. But that promo from Raw a couple weeks ago where Roman picks Punk, it felt like since Roman dropped it to Cody, that the Roman character has kind of been, I'm not going to say in limbo, but like he's done some things, no real direction for the tribal chief outside of the title. I feel like this has been some of that one promo was it. Him and Punk.
Yeah, that's the money match. I hope they don't. I know a lot of fans would be happy to see Balor, but I think it's time. I think we got the triple threat last year. I think it's time for that's definitely the marquee match. That's about as big as you could get right now. And yeah, man, it just seems like, and feel free to voice your opinion on it. Like, it just seems like I keep repeating myself. It's but correct me if I'm wrong. It's like all the WrestleManias in the past, especially under Vince, even before the Royal Rumble, it's like everybody kind of knew the direction everybody was going. Like everybody, and
Well,
here we are, right?
I think
And
you also got to like toss it up to, if you watch Unreal, and again, a lot of people are like, "Oh, Unreal's 100% real." No, it's not. No, they're not gonna do that. They're not gonna give you 100% of what's going on. If they are, stupid. I hope they're not, but a lot of people are like, "That's fake, bro." But if you watch Unreal,
they show you what they want you to see. I mean, they're not going to give everything to you. Anytime there's a camera on it, just like if you watched Unreal when he's like, make sure McAfee sells in the back, like because the cameras were going to be on him and stuff. Like, yeah, it's the cameras are on it to work. I think there's an element I think they pull the curtain back a little bit for you. I personally don't like Unreal. Who the hell wants to go see a magic show and then have the magician tell you how he did everything? Like, I'm old school. I don't like it. But I'm an old fart. So
I know the only part of Unreal that I find even remotely funny or educational was when they play the meeting about who's gonna win, not this Rumble but last year's Rumble, and everyone was like Punk, 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 and then you get to fucking Michael Hayes, and he's the one guy that goes, "What about Jey Uso?" And I'm like, at that point, I'm like, Road Dogg, you have better ideas than Michael Hayes at this point. But Michael Hayes going, "Oh, what about Jey Uso?"
people like the armchair book in hindsight. I can see why they did that. I mean, look at what they've done in the past with Daniel Bryan and Kofi Kingston. I really think they had it. I think in their minds they had a Kofi Kingston situation. And Jay was on fire. I mean, he still got one of the hottest entrances in the business. Like, he just couldn't keep him. It's easier to get on top of the mountain. It's a lot harder to stay there.
I think it's also, if you watch, in my opinion, and as a guy that got to do a little bit of training, to me, if you watch Jay chase the title, he was great. His promos were great. His in-ring work was good. It was starting to fade out. He gets the title, and then if you watch that next entrance, not the Raw where he says thank you, I couldn't have done this without you, but his first entrance as champion where he's going to wrestle, he blows himself up before he ever gets to the ring. And that first like 5 minutes of the match, it's so hard for him to put it together. And I'm like, damn it, man, this is.
That happens sometimes, and I also think I think a lot of people need to realize that maybe some of the hate for Jay is not is not warranted. I think a lot of people's disgust in him winning the Royal Rumble is they really, really wanted it to be John Cena, and they were afraid because Cena didn't win that he wasn't going to go to the main event and win the 17th world title, which he ended up doing anyway. But I think that's a lot of where a lot of the heat what came from is people just like the Rumble where Batista won. I don't think there would have been near as much hatred towards Batista that year if the people didn't want Daniel Bryan so much. The people want
Listen,
what they want.
I remember watching that Rumble, and if you ask anyone that actually knows me personally, they'll always tell you my favorite time period of wrestling is Evolution. When Evolution was red hot, from the formation to all of them leaving. When Batista comes back, I've told this story a few times to people. The night he comes back, I had a girlfriend at the time, and I'm like 14 or 15. And my brother-in-law looked over at my girlfriend. He goes, "Hey, when his music hits, you're going to want to get out of his lap." And she's like, "Why?" And he's like, "He's going to throw you to the floor because he's going to jump up and mark out." And my girlfriend at the time's like, "No, he loves me more than he loves wrestling." No, I don't. That'll never be a thing. And Batista's theme hits. I thought, dude, I Germaned her over the top of me, threw her to the floor, jumped up and marked out. But I'm a big Batista fan. I loved Evolution. I loved when he won the Rumble. I hated that crowd. I hate when crowds do shit like that because I'm like, I understand you want this guy to win. Your toy didn't win. This other toy won. Get over yourself. All right, let's watch it together. Let's see where it goes. The only time where I shit on a Rumble winner was Del Rio, and it was because what JBL kept saying about him every week. This is the next Eddie Guerrero. I wanted to reach through the television and just choke him. It was too soon to say that.
Yeah, I didn't like Del Rio winning it. I was pretty sour when Sheamus won it over Jericho that year. That was kind of lame, but I don't feel bad marking out. I've had some mark out moments. Like when the NWO came into WWE, when Vince did that turnaround in the chair, me and the NWO. I used to like record the shows for my dad because he worked at night, and dude, I marked out so hard. I got a black marker and I wrote NWO all over my chest, on my arms, everything. Just NWO, NWO, NWO on all on notebooks and stuff like that. My dad comes home from work. I had passed out school the next day. My dad woke me up and he goes, "Son, the NWO come back?" I'm like, yeah. I'm like,
I remember when I was a kid, I was like, like 6 or 7, and I was watching Road Wild '98. It's when they do the NWO Battle Royal, where it's NWO Hollywood, NWO Wolfpack, and Goldberg. But the main event is like Hogan and Bischoff versus Leno and Diamond Dallas Page. Also on that card, really great match between Macho Man and Dennis the Worm Rodman. That match is also
oh yeah.
killer. Please go back and watch that. But that NWO Battle Royal, I remember watching that on VHS when my dad had a black can of paint sitting in the living room. Well, I had seen they spray paint a limo NWO. My dad had just bought a brand new $20,000 Dodge pickup truck. I went outside with house paint and painted on the side of the truck NWO. I took the ass beating of a lifetime for that, but it was worth it.
He's like, my car looks badass now. Now that another good mark out moment when I was a kid. I remember, my dad. We didn't have a lot of money growing up, and it was the Survivor Series, and that's right around Christmas time. So I had to beg my dad. I was like, count it as a Christmas present because it was the first ever Elimination Chamber with Shawn Michaels coming back, and I had so much hope. And I knew that back in the back of my mind, I was like, okay, he's kind of back for, you know, couple matches because his back, he's not gonna win, but he might. And then when he backdropped Triple H out of the pedigree and hit the super kick and what, dude, I jumped all over. I tore that living room apart. I was so unbelievably happy that Shawn had won the world title. Like
I actually
it was
I
pretty
actually
cool.
have a new story about that. So because the chamber's coming up, me and my fiance we have this tradition where every time there's a pay-per-view coming up, we rewatch the match type that's happening at the pay-per-view. So like we rewatch the Rumbles and the Elimination Chambers. So I just showed her the first ever Elimination Chamber, and during all the entrances, she's asking me who's gonna win, and I'm not telling her. The two people she thought was Chris Jericho and Shawn Michaels, because Jericho got played out by Saliva, who is I love
Yeah,
Saliva. King of the World, love that song. And then she knew that
like a beast alive.
HBK was back, and she'd seen Shawn, and she's like, he doesn't ever win the big gold. You loved everyone that won the big gold. You've never talked about Shawn winning it. It's gotta be Jericho. Watches Shawn do the backdrop super kick Triple H with the hurt trachea. She's in the medical field, so all she's thinking of is, why is he still wrestling? Why is he still going?
Right.
but,
Yeah, what happened today?
yeah, and Shawn does the super kick, wins, and she popped. She was like, "Oh my god!" because she had never watched it, and she was And then the funny thing is, a large amount of confetti. She's all like, "I would hate to work at that arena the next day. I would not pick that shit up."
The ring crew cleans it up, but no man. It's funny you said Saliva. Kevin hated Saliva. Kevin told me a funny story about Saliva. Him and some of his friends got tickets to a Monday Night Raw before he started wrestling and stuff. And Saliva was in the front row. And Raw, you know how Raw sometimes will show the celebrities in the crowd. Ah, Saliva. Well, while they got the camera on Saliva, Kevin and his buddies are throwing garbage down at Saliva. Like, boo, you suck. Yeah,
So,
Kevin was very passionate about his music. Big Slayer fan. I remember one time we were sitting around his yard. He had like this bonfire pit set up with like these 18-wheeler truck bed doors making like walls. I don't know how he got his hands on truck bed doors, but they had put them in the ground and made like this wall around this bonfire. And I was just talking shit to him one day, and I was like, "No, man," I was like, so, fuck Slayer. I was like, if Shawn Michaels was here right now and they were right here, he'd super kick every one of them, and he just goes, "Hey, and he speared me through one of these truck bed doors, and then right back to being Kevin. Like, oh, are you okay? I'm sorry. You were just talking bullshit, and I had to set you straight. Like,
so a funny story about Saliva and Kevin actually was so at the gym during every workout session, we obviously listen to music. Very rarely did anyone else get to pick what was being played, other than Kevin. Very rarely, but I brought my speaker to the gym, and Kevin goes, "Play whatever you want, Con Man. You got this." And I started to play "Always" by Saliva because that Elimination Chamber had that song, and I love Saliva. And we start working
yeah, I
out,
look.
and we go to lock up right as the song hits, and he stops and he looks at me and he goes, "If you don't grab that fucking speaker and turn that song off, get out." And I was just like, "What's wrong?" And then he does that. "Oh, you were just being dumb, like listening to Saliva. Why would you do that?" So then I had to put on Pantera to make him happy. Pantera, Slayer, somebody like that. So
He was very, very picky about his music choice. The only time I know he went up against his music choice is if he was trying to get something out of me. Like if he wanted me to go in a long match. I remember he put me in a ring with Devin one time, who shouldn't even be in a ring. And he's like, "You guys are going to go 35, 40 minutes." And I'm like, "How the hell am I going to go 40 minutes with him?" Like, But he's like, he was adamant about it. And he's like, I'll play your music for you. play music. So he put on like WCW Chris Benoit, like WCW Chris Jericho theme, the Horseman, Shawn
Hey, listen,
Michaels, like he had all these
listen.
WWE themes playing.
That Sean or that Chris Benoit theme song. You talking about that old one that was like, yeah, dude. I loved that theme. I fucking loved it, bro. That and Dean Malenko's theme, the one that they always said was Ray's. Yeah, him and Ray had the same theme song for a minute. But what people didn't know was they called that the Jobber theme. So for Dean to use that as a legit theme and get it over, I thought was really funny about Dean. But
yeah, WCW had some, like on my playlist when I'm in the gym. WCW had some badass themes, man. Like even Eddie Guerrero's the bump 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 bump
bump
bump.
bump bump bump. Yeah, dude, I loved his.
I remember
The Wolfpack theme. The Wolfpack theme is iconic. That is the best theme I've ever heard.
I remember Kevin wanted me to do the hitting the ropes, and he's like, you know, I'm gonna have you hit them for as long as you can. He's like, pick whatever song you want, and I popped him real hard. He was laughing his ass off. It's fucking the Steiner brothers. Steiner Line. Steiner Line. Like,
I remember, I think one of the dumbest theme songs I had ever heard through WCW. Or no, well, it wasn't dumb, but it was when I realized Mike Today was a gangster. Was when it was Road Wild '98. For some reason, I keep going back to this pay-per-view. The opening match was the Deadpool, Vampiro, Raven, and the Insane Clown Posse versus Ray, Hoovy, Kidman, maybe Psychosis. I don't remember exactly who was all there, but I remember Kidman and Ray. And when the Deadpool was coming to the ring, they were playing a new song off ICP's album, which, whatever, okay, I don't care. But the way Mike Today was all like, this is the best song that has ever played in Road Wild. This is off their brand new multi-platinum selling recording album. And I'm like, he's a really big fan of ICP, bro. Like, he's marking out.
My playlist has some WCW songs you probably wouldn't think would be on there, like Disco Inferno is on there. 3 Count.
Dude, 3 Count was my theme song. That was my ringtone for a while.
He likes the Backstreet Boys, NSYNC too. Yeah. And of course, Goldberg's music just hit hard, man.
Listen, when I was a kid, before I went to school every day, because I had heard that Goldberg was headbutting doors, I thought my whole life he was punching them. But then somewhere along the line, I got told he was headbutting them. So as a kid, I was getting up. It was like 3rd grade. And my dad's bedroom door was steel. It was like solid steel, not wooden. Well, my dumbass, I thought I was going to get up, bam the door, and go to school. I got up, bam, knocked myself out, went straight to sleep, knocked myself out. Didn't go to school that day. But I will always blame Goldberg for that because I thought I was a man in 3rd grade. But before we wrap this up, let's talk about some things. Mutiny Wrestling Federation got some great stuff coming along. You're working on your way back, and I know that we've been talking about maybe doing some stuff together. So I've really enjoyed having you here. I think we should make this a regular thing, bro. Yeah, we got a mascot. We got the dog. What's up, babies? Hello.
I remember SWE. She was in my promo for my match setup with Rodney Mack. She was actually in that promo.
Now we just have to have you and Rodney Mack do a... We got to have you and Rodney Mack do a dog collar match to pay tribute to Kevin. That's what we do. Dog collar match with you and Rodney.
You will kick my ass.
I'll enjoy watching it. I mean, you can take the ass beating. I'll take the viewership. But yeah, man, I'd love to have you back, man. I think we could do some cool shit, man. Especially with a lot of the stuff Mutiny's got coming along, you got coming along. Pro wrestling's hot. Not that AEW garbage or that other garbage in NWA that's going on. But I think a lot of cool stuff's happening. I think I'd love to have you back, brother.
Yeah, man, I'd love to be back. We talk about wrestling. There's a lot of people out in the YouTube world that are voicing their opinions about wrestling that should have remained voiceless. A lot of uneducated opinions. So I would love to impart my 17 years of experience on the world. You might say, yeah, dig it.
Well, hopefully we can before we actually say goodbye. You have a goal for Mutiny Wrestling Federation. Maybe one day we get to introduce some actual good-looking tag team championships to Mutiny.
Non-replica jabroni tag team championships. Yeah, it'd be cool to reunite the White Blazers and do that. But if that door opens, I'd be more than happy to walk through it. But I absolutely have my sights set on that Mutiny Wrestling Federation championship.
I can't wait to see you back, brother. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to do some stuff together. I'd love to have you back. We'll come up with a schedule and we'll do something. Until then, guys, thank you so much. We'll see you next time.